Good morning. It's time for Two Guys on Sports. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Dick. And, well, we got one fall sport in the books as far as state goes with the state cross-country meet last weekend.
And lots of good area representation down in Rapids. A lot of teams coming home with, let's start off in boys D3. Prentice Rib Lake, second place.
Yeah.
Phillips, 8th. Stratford, 10th. Nice job on all those teams placing. And a guy we've been watching all season, Isaac Shear, finished 5th overall. So congratulations to him. Quite a way to finish his cross-country career. So
yeah, and then you had a guy in that field who took the individual championship at a time of 15:52.7, sixth best on the all-time in Division III. So
that's tremendous.
Yeah,
so,
that's tough to beat.
We should also say Cree Defoe of Stratford finished 11th, and Bo Stanky of Cadott finished 16th though in that D3 race. So.
All right, then Division II. Kohler won the Division III, I should say, Division III championship for the girls. That's their first team title for girls cross country. And Mallory Cohn, Division III individual medalist, 18:03.4, which is the second fastest time in Division III history.
Wow, awesome! So Assumption finished 4th as a team. So they were led by Lucy Dolan, who finished 5th overall, and then
she had a good season.
Yes, she did, absolutely. Brianna Sheehan from Athens finished 18th, and Anne-Marie Schmidt from Colby finishing 28th. So congratulations to all the D3 girls.
Yeah, and then you got in Division II, the Kohler boys, who were the Division III champions the last 2 years, moved up, and they won the Division II
championship.
Didn't
bother them a bit, did it?
Jack Hefty of Whitewater was the individual champion on the boys' side. For the girls, another first-time winner as University School of Milwaukee won the Division II title, and Bloomer finished second for the second year in a row.
The awesome thing about Bloomer, Larry, Sierra Hartman was second, Brianna Hartman was 8th, Aaliyah Hartman was 13th, and Sophie Strand was 21st. All 4 of those Bloomer runners are sophomores.
Yeah.
And of course the Hartmans are triplets. So, so I would think high hopes for Stanley Boyd the next couple of years in girls in girls cross country. So
they finished second for the second year in a row. So maybe they can get up there over the top next year.
Yeah, but and I believe their sixth place girl was a sophomore too. So
wow.
So their 5th place runner was a senior. So they did have some senior leadership, but. Wow, that is so awesome, and of course you don't get triplets very often.
No.
So like that,
and athletes like that.
Yeah, athletes, absolutely.
Emerson Drobach of Deerfield, Cambridge, won the Division II with a time of 17:38.9, which set an all-time state meet record for all divisions.
Yeah, I said that's just about a dead sprint. You think for because they run 2.5 or 3. I'm not sure.
5 kilometers, whatever that is.
Yeah, I suppose that's about 2.5 miles.
Yeah,
I think the boys run 3 miles.
Yeah, they run a little farther.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and you're running Ridges Golf Course, so I'm sure it's
absolutely.
not flat.
Yeah. I don't think they make a state tournament course too easy either, So.
And, you talk about the Hartman girl, Sierra. She finished in second, and her time also beat the former meet record.
Yeah, isn't that something? And only a sophomore, too. So I think there's some records for her on the coming up, too. So.
Stevens Point won the boys' Division I team title, 3rd time in a row and 14th time.
I was going to say, how many times is that for their boys' cross-country team? They have just been a juggernaut down there in D1 over the years.
Yes, so. Marquette finished second. Manny Putz of Onalaska, 7th boy at the state meet to earn the medalist honor 3 times.
Yes, that's awesome. So,
and Nina was the Division I girls champions, their 4th state championship. And Ella Anschutz of Muskego was the individual medalist for the 2nd year in a row.
So we put cross country to bed for another year. So
now they can concentrate on the other season, the winter season.
Yep. Now basketball comes up, and then they'll still be thinking about track in the spring. So.
You bet. All right. So girls volleyball now is what's the next state meet, and that gets underway. Actually, it's going on right now.
This morning, Columbus Catholic and Newman. Started at 9 o'clock this morning. That's the number 2 and number 3 seed. And then Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran, the number 1 seed, versus Sheboygan Christian, the 4 seed. And these are the D5 schools. So, and then their championship match will be Saturday morning. So.
And then Division 4 semifinals will be at 11:30 this morning. And
morning, yeah.
Ben, they play both semifinals
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah,
time.
they have two courts,
Yep.
and so number 2 Regis will play number 3 Mineral Point, and then on the other court will be number 1 Manitowoc Lutheran and number 4 Wabeno Leona.
You got to
Excuse me.
congratulate Columbus Catholic, by the way. That's
Oh.
their first trip to state
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
girls
Yeah,
volleyball.
and I said, and that just shows you, you got your two teams that were in the Clover Belt Crossover Championship down there. You got Regis in D4 and Columbus Catholic in D5. So it shows how tough that conference is. So
You bet. And you might look at the brackets for the girls, and you're wondering why there's such a big gap between the Division 4 semifinals and Division 1 quarterfinals. The boys play at the same time.
yes, yep.
So their
yep.
semifinals are going to be in the
And
afternoon.
of course, nobody around here really plays
No.
at volleyball, so we really don't follow it. So,
No,
but,
but there's, I think their semifinals are in the afternoon,
yes,
this
absolutely.
afternoon.
And I believe they only have one division.
Yep,
Too. Yeah,
yep.
So
And then the quarterfinals for Division 1 will be this evening, and then Divisions 1, 2, and 3 will have their semifinals tomorrow.
yep. Tonight it's Hamilton number 2 against Oak Creek number 7. This is the 5 o'clock this afternoon. Menominee Falls number 3 against Bayport number 6 tonight at 7:30. Number 4 McGuanago versus number 5 Hudson, and number 1 Divine Savior Holy Angels, who's been there all year, versus Holman at 8th. So
All year, and it seems like every year.
yeah, I guess we just called it DSHA all year.
Yeah, they seem to be at the state tournament all the time.
Yeah, their quarterfinals will be tomorrow, alongside the the D2 and D3 following the D2 and D3 semifinals. So, and then like I said, all the championship matches will be Saturday, and that will be on the WIA State Network, which around here is Channel 9 out of Wausau, Channel 18 out of Eau Claire, and Channel 19 out of La Crosse. So,
Yeah, Divine Savior Holy Angels, two-time defending champs,
yep,
and their 13th time at state.
yes. Wow.
So they are a
yeah. So.
common
Yeah.
denominator down there.
I see Aquinas and D3. They've made several trips down there too. I see.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then you got, of course, Catholic Memorial, and they're a juggernaut. Seems like in all sports too, and they're in D2. So,
And Lake Country Lutheran, we talked
Yeah.
about them in football,
well,
but there they are.
and other sports, and they were a solid basketball program too the last few years
Yeah.
too. So it's
Yeah, so you see a lot of sports where teams are multi-sports
yeah.
and do well in them. Yes, as Dick said, the finals on Saturday will be on the statewide networks. And one school qualifying for the state girls and boys volleyball teams in each of the 5 divisions will receive $1,000 from the greater Green Bay community for selling the most pre-sale tickets.
Is that race to the Resh?
Rush to the Resh.
Yeah. They
Loyal
do it.
did that one
Yeah,
year.
yes, and Loyal won.
Yeah.
Loyal won in D5 the year they went over there too. So yes, they did. So
There you go. Sell your tickets.
yes.
Get your tickets sold. All right, let's move on to football now. Of course, it is the 8-player state semifinal this Friday night. And one of the games that we will be doing on 92.7 WPKG is Owen Withee against Highland, that game being played at Stanley Boyd.
Yeah. Highland got the short straw as far as travel.
Yeah, I thought maybe they would change that game to Saturday, but I guess
I
they're
don't
gonna
know.
keep it Friday.
The big thing is, Larry, is finding a turf field to play on.
Right.
It's
In between there.
Yeah, they're south of La Crosse quite a ways. They're pretty close to Dubuque, but the La Crosse schools have got the stadium down there locked up along with UW La Crosse. Your next best is probably Durand. Does Durand want to do it?
Right.
That's a big thing. Now Stanley has a history. The first 8-man championships were at Stanley,
That's right.
so
You're right.
So Stanley is more than willing to do it, I'm sure, and they know how to do it. So it's and it's nice for us too. So
Yes. And I believe that they had the semifinal there last year.
yes, they did.
I think they did with Thorpe and
Chippewa Falls McDonald,
I don't
wasn't
remember who they played, but I remember
it? It was a
Thorpe
very
in-
close game.
Yeah.
But anyway, looking at Highland stats, Larry,
Yep.
they're going to give Owen Withee a game. They are a 50-50 team.
Yeah.
They average 200 yards rushing and 172 yards passing for the game. And they have 3 running backs over 550 yards and 2 receivers over 500 yards. So they're
Okay.
going to be a very balanced attack. So
Yeah, I watched a little bit of highlights on Huddle, and
Yeah.
they got some good running backs,
Yeah.
and the quarterback gets it down the field.
And I haven't talked to anybody from that neighborhood up there, but we'll see how Mason Gay is. He's
Yeah.
hurt his ankle last week in the game against McDonald and came out, and that was early in the second quarter, and he did not play the rest of the game. So we'll see what happens. So
You almost got to wonder how much of that was Coach
yeah, And-
the coach
and-
saying you're not going back in.
Yeah,
'cause of
absolutely.
the
You know,
way the game was going.
once they got up, I believe it was like 32-6. That shut him down completely.
Yeah,
right
I think
there.
Coach Lauby said
Yeah,
that was
no,
enough.
no more. And quite honestly, Brandon Geldernick filled in very nicely on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
He took over that cornerback position against Anderson, did well, and then he also broke a very nice run for a touchdown also. So
Yeah, so 7 o'clock for that game. Owen
Mm.
Withey and Highland at Stanley Boyd on 92.7 WPKG. The other semifinal up at Rhinelander will have Northwood Solon Springs against Lena St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yep.
And I tell you, that Northwood Solon Springs team is
yeah, very athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be a handful. They gave it to Clayton, and Clayton was a pretty good ball club, I thought. And I thought Clayton might come out of that, but no dice there. And I'll tell you what, you look at Lena St. Thomas Aquinas, they got some pretty impressive numbers also. So,
okay.
so-
All right.
So that should be a great game up there in Rhinelander. So
All 4 of them are number 1 seeds, so
Yes.
kind of played the way they wanted
they
to.
hit it right. They hit it right on this one. So
The winners will play in the 8-player state championship next Saturday, November 16th, at Wisconsin Rapids.
Yep.
And that's Saturday afternoon at 1
yeah,
o'clock.
good luck to the Owen Withey Blackhawks. So
You bet.
So
All right, so turning our attention now to the 11-player. Just a couple of notes here. Of the 55 games played last Friday night, an incredible 8 of them were decided by just 1 point.
wow.
And one of them, unfortunately, was Abbotsford.
Yes.
They lost
yeah.
to Coleman 7-6.
And I believe Abbotsford had a field goal blocked or missed. They
missed it at the end,
of the
yeah.
game. So, and that's Coleman is a fine ball club, and we were following the score, and it was 6-0 for the longest time, and Coleman got ahead, but feel bad for Abbotsford.
Yeah.
Great season for them up there. So.
The farther these games go, the harder it is to lose.
Absolutely.
You get
Absolutely.
down to the level 2 or 3.
Yeah, we'll talk about in D5, but you look how far Stanley Boyd traveled to lose to Northwestern. Stanley Boyd had very high hopes this year,
Yeah.
and to go down that too, and not right now. It's hard to lose,
Yep.
because it's a winner or go home theory now. So
All right, so let's start with Division 7, where we have Oshkosh Lords at
Yeah.
Edgar. That game on 1450 AM, 98.7 FM, WDLB. I don't know a lot about Lords. Their record is 7-4, and they're going against the top seed in Edgar.
Yeah, they knocked off Crivets, number 3 to start, and then knocked off number 7 Hilbert. So I would think they're probably a pretty good ball club. Edgar seems to be getting hot. They really handed it to Shiocton last week. I believe it was 36-0, and at their home field, it's going to be pretty tough for
It's
Lords.
always tough.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
always tough there.
yeah.
And then where does that team go there? Would that
they
be the
go up-
Boyceville Spring Valley matchup?
Yep. And that is a repeat of the last game of the season. I believe Spring Valley won by 3, I think. So
Okay.
and that was for the Dunn St. Croix Championship.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, so
both
Spring
teams
Valley's unbeaten.
Yep.
And that's the only loss for Boyceville.
Yep. So,
And, of course, we did Edgar Boyceville last year.
yep. Yeah,
In a
I
playoff
could see
game.
a repeat there too. And it was fun for us because Boyceville brings a high-powered offense in. They really like to throw the ball, and they were one team that really scored on Edgar last year. So
Yeah, they made Edgar nervous in that first
yes,
half.
they did.
but
Absolutely.
Edgar came alive after
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. So,
The other games in Division 7, you're down to the final 8 now.
yep.
So River Ridge against Potosi-Cassville, and Potosi-Cassville is an unbeaten team.
Yeah, they were ranked number 1 all season. How they ended up as a 3rd seed, I'll never know. But anyway, they're showing their mettle here. They beat a very good Blackhawk Warren team that I felt was underseeded, also number 6. Then beat Cochrane Fountain City. River Ridge was a 5 seed that beat Bangor, and that was a little surprising to me.
Yeah.
I thought Bangor would be out there as a possible state. I thought Bangor and Edgar would be the state matchup. I honestly did, but. On the bottom, you've got Kenosha St. Joe's. They were number 1 all season, and then Johnson Creek was a 2. So that part is holding up pretty good there. So,
Yeah, should be a pretty good game there.
yeah, absolutely. So, and these are the higher seed team is hosting this week.
Yep,
So
still host until next week when they go to the neutral fields. Division 6, we've got Grantsburg at number 1 seed Regis. Regis, of course, unbeaten, but Grantsburg 10-1.
yeah, and Grantsburg, a great tradition there.
Yeah.
You talk about Leo Chanel and his family up there. They all came out of Grantsburg.
And that was one of the great games they had a few years back
Absolutely.
in the playoffs, those two teams.
And quite honestly, Regis has been struggling in the playoffs,
Yes,
Larry.
they have.
They beat Fall Creek by 1 on a blocked field goal in the opener, and then last week 17-14 against a very good Onalaska Luther team, obviously, because to hold Regis to 17 points, that is pretty awesome.
That
but
is.
Grantsburg, Mondovi went up there and gave a good account of themselves, but this should be an excellent matchup here at Carson Park. So
Bonduelle against Coleman in the other Division 6.
I've thought a lot of Bonduelle all season, and Coleman with the number 1, that game, this is a rematch too of a game that was very close at the end of the season too. So.
And 2 teams that knocked off CWC teams.
Yep. Abbey and Auburndale took it.
Both lost to those guys.
And both games, Auburndale was hurt by 5 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, didn't play well in that game.
No, and not playing well at all. So.
And then you got number 8 seed Belleville. Their record is 5-6.
Yeah, they started off beating number 1 Cambridge, and I guess the story is they played a pretty tough conference.
Okay.
So, but then they came back and beat the number 5 Marshall too. So they are sitting out there against the number 2 seed Lancaster, and of course Lancaster's been around since Lassie was a pup.
Yes.
Old River Falls friend of mine, John Holk, has been the head coach there for 100 years. He took the River Falls Wishbone right down to Lancaster.
Well, it's worked well.
It has. He's got a lot of trophies in his trophy case. So.
And then Lemira takes on Cedar Grove, Belgium.
Yeah, Cedar Grove, Belgium, the number 1, looks like a solid team, and Lemira, the number 2, so that's kind of held pretty good there. So.
And interesting, Cedar Grove, Belgium, a number 1 seed. They're 8-3.
Yeah, but who knows? They're probably playing Division 5 conference. Who knows? And they might have 2 non-conference losses and a 6-1 conference record.
Sure.
Who knows? Who knows about that computer, Larry? We
Yes.
gave up trying to figure that one out.
Yes, we have. All right, Division 5, Lake Country Lutheran against Stratford at Marshfield.
Yeah.
That one on 92.3 FM, WOSQ. We talked about Lake Country Lutheran in volleyball. Here they are in football, and they're going against Stratford. Looks like a pretty good matchup on paper.
At Marshfield.
At Marshfield.
Yep. So, yeah, this would Lake Country, and I'll tell you, this goes back to 2019 when Ben Martin and those guys were seniors, and they had only given up a touchdown all year, and Lake Country Lutheran knocked them off in the state championship game. So
They might remember that.
yeah, they might, but we'll see. Stratford hasn't faced a team like Lake Country Lutheran all season. Amherst played well against Stratford also. So
Yeah, they did.
That's
Yeah.
So that it'll be on. I don't know about Lake Country Lutheran. Stratford, a lot of speed though. Oh man, my goodness, they got some
Speed to
burners.
burn.
Yep.
Milwaukee Academy of Science at Prairie du Chien.
This is a team that I didn't know about. I don't associate Milwaukee schools with grade football, but obviously they're pretty good. They knocked off a good Darlington team.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and
Okay.
Darlington was in the state championship in D6 last year against
Yeah.
Stratford, and they were number 2 seed, and they took it to them last week. So
Well, how about Milwaukee going to Prairie du Chien?
yeah,
Wow. That's a little bit of a drive.
one side of the state to the
Yeah.
other.
All right. Kiel is at Wrightstown.
Yep.
Battle of 11-0 and 10-1 there.
Yeah, Wrightstown very strong, beat a good Southern Door team. Kiel didn't know a whole lot about them, and I thought quite honestly, I thought Kiwanee would knock off Kiel, but Kiel very solid, and that should be a great game at Wrightstown. And I picked Wrightstown to come out of that side of the bracket. So
Okay. All right. Northwestern at St. Croix Falls. We saw St. Croix Falls last year against Neilsville Granton, and they're unbeaten this year.
And Wittenberg Burnham Wood gave them all they wanted. That was a 21-20 game. So
That was one of those one-pointers.
yeah, it was a great game there, and I believe Northwestern and Stanley Blair, I believe that was 26-21. So,
Yep.
And here you got 2 conference foes. They play in the same conference. St. Croix Falls with that great running back, and they're going to be tough to beat. So,
Yep.
And they usually got some pretty darn good size up there too, Larry.
Yes,
So,
indeed. All right, so this is again our level 3 matchups coming up tomorrow night in 11-player football. Baldwin Woodville in Division 4 at number 1 Freedom.
yeah, Baldwin Woodville, number 2. They got matched up with Ellsworth and beat them pretty handily, 42-0. So that should be. They've got to do some traveling to go to Freedom, but it should be a great matchup over there.
Go ahead.
Freedom beating Prescott, which was no easy task
right.
either.
Yeah,
So
Prescott's been good all year, but
Yes.
it's kind of tailed off at the
yeah,
end.
absolutely. Yep. So
This is the only Division 4, where the number 2 seed and number 1 seeds are playing each other in all 4 of the games.
yes.
Mayville at number 1 Winnicott.
Yep. Yeah, Mayville been solid all year.
Yep.
So is Winnicott. On the other side, you got Aquinas, the number 1, against Columbus, the number 2. Aquinas got bumped up into 4 this year after a couple of years of dominating 5. So we'll see what they got. Columbus, very strong team.
Very strong.
Really, usually likes to run the ball big time. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there should be some really good games in Division
Oh,
4
man.
because they're all 10-1 or 11-0.
Yeah, they're all loaded. Like I said, and they're all 1 and 2 seeds. So
Yep.
might be the best bracket overall there is. So
All right, Division 3, we got Lacrosse Logan making the short trip to Medford.
yeah, Logan. I was kind of surprised. Logan and Central. You don't think about them in football too much.
No.
It's usually on Alaska and Holman and those schools. But Logan knocked off on Alaska, and now they're going to head up to Medford. So. Red Raiders, big win over Fox Valley Lutheran. So they've got them on their turf up there. So
Yeah, and they got that second leading rusher. No, leading rusher, I believe he is now in the state.
Paxton Rothmeyer.
Yeah,
So,
he's doing very well.
you bet. So,
Green Bay Notre Dame at Grafton,
yep.
a 1 and a 2
Twos
there.
Notre Dame was the number 1 team in D3 all year. I think they got knocked out at the end, but Grafton got the number 1 seed, Notre Dame too. But should be a great game there, and the winner of that game plays the winner of Medford and Logan. So
All right, then you got Mount Horeb Barneveld and Waukesha Catholic Memorial.
yeah, Catholic Memorial getting bumped up from D4 last year into D3, and so don't know a lot about Mount Horeb Barneveld. They knocked off a pretty good. They started off, they're number 2, and they beat Waterford after Waterford had beaten Stoughton. So who knows? So
Yeah, that's that must be quite the co-op there because Barneveld usually is a small school.
yeah,
They're in Division 3.
D5, and we have basketball,
Yeah.
and Mount Horeb probably a 3. So I think what you probably have is not enough kids to field a team in Barneveld, and they hook them up in Mount Horeb, and away they go in D3.
Man,
So
they're doing pretty well.
yeah, it doesn't hurt at all.
No,
So,
Wisconsin Lutheran at New Berlin West.
yep, that should be a good one. You're 1 and 3 there. So
All right, Division 2, the one that probably a lot of people are looking at is Rice Lake at New Richmond.
this is a rematch of late season game, which Rice Lake won 29-28. So, and that decided the conference over there. And I'll tell you what, that's going to be a dandy in New Richmond. So.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
West De Pere and Kaukauna.
Yeah, I said you get through that one, then you got to play the winner of those two, So, but I'll tell you what, this bracket too is very much loaded, Larry.
Yes,
You got 1 and 2s all over the place.
Well, even if they're not a 2, you look at the names.
I said, you look on the bottom on, Homestead a 3. They're playing Slinger, and people talk very well about Slinger. Badger is your defending champion, And
They got Milton.
And so. Just a really super D2 bracket. So
And then Division 1, where I tell you, they just keep falling teams that people think are going to be favorites. But I tell you, you look at the teams that are left, and even the teams that fell, I mean, they're all this top-notch program.
Let's start out Waunakee. Waunakee's been one of the best in the state. Not so much in D1, more D2.
Right.
But Everest, a long time ago, Everest was a standard in the state of Wisconsin. Marquette is your defending state champion. Bayport, very solid over there. How about Muskego knocking out Franklin? 2 storied schools
Yes.
there. Nina beating Kimberly. That's a big shocker to me in D1. Don't know a lot about Nina, but you go by what Kimberly has done over the years, and I always think of Nina more as a basketball and very good wrestling, but boy, I'll tell you what, they took it to Kimberly the other night. But they've got their hands full at Muskego now. So, but they will have them at home though.
And then Heartland Arrowhead last week knocked off Verona
Yeah.
by 1.
Yeah, people talked a lot about Verona, but I'll tell you what, Arrowhead very, very solid down there, and I'll tell you what, that's a classic matchup down there. Arrowhead and McWanago. Those are some neat matchups here.
Yeah, they
I'll
are.
tell you what, it's just
Those are storied programs.
Yeah, I would have loved to seen the Muskego Kimberly matchup myself, but you got to hand it to Nina. Not too many teams have beaten Kimberly the last few years.
No.
So.
All right, so tracking the champions from last year in 11-player football. Of course, Florence didn't qualify this year for the playoffs for 8 players, so you're going to have a new champion there. Division 7, Edgar's still alive.
Yep.
Stratford, of course, they move up a division, so now D6 is open.
But, you got Regis, who was – Regis was a couple years ago. Okay,
Yep.
so you got it is wide open there.
Yeah.
So
Aquinas moves up a division. They were Division 5 last year, so maybe Stratford gets in there as the Division 5 champ. Who knows?
It starts tomorrow night, and like I said, it's going to be tough. It's getting to be nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
It's
tougher
Lake
as you go.
Country Lutheran, comes from that area down south where they play pretty good football. So Stratford, though, gotta love the speed, and they have a solid quarterback in Jack Tubbs too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's just they're going to be tough to beat, and so-called home, I guess. So.
Yes. Lodi, the Division 4 champ from last year, they're still in it. Rice Lake, Division 3 champ last year. Of course, they're now Division 2. You mentioned Badger, they're Division 2 champs, and Marquette, Division 1. So there's still a lot of champs.
A lot of solid. Could be a lot of repeats here. And of course, we talked to Edgar's AD when we were up there a couple weeks ago. They fully expect if they win D7, they will go up to D6 next year. So,
I would imagine they would, yes. All right, we got a few minutes here. I was going to talk baseball because the Brewers, for the first time in 35 years, have a couple of guys getting gold gloves.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, and that just shows you how good a defensive team the Brewers have become. Just the fact they had 3 guys dominated, because Blake Perkins was also.
Right.
But Sal Frelick in the outfield, in right field, and this is the first time I've ever seen where they've really. It used to be they just named 3 outfielders.
Yeah.
Now it's left field, center.
I like that though.
I do too, because right field they're totally different. Totally different positions. But anyway, Sal Frelick, and I believe he led all right fielders in runs saved this year.
Yes, he did. Yep.
And a lot of acrobatic catches. And then Bryce Terang came up as a shortstop, Larry, but he has made such a tremendous move to second base, and I don't see the Brewers ever moving off him at second base.
I would not. No.
So.
He's the first second baseman for the Brewers to win a Gold Glove.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And that's, you think of how many years Jimmy Gantner and then Ricky Weeks.
A lot of guys played there.
Also on the Brewers, Matt Arnold was named Executive of the Year, and this one really threw me, Larry. That's the first time a Brewer executive has ever been named Executive of the Year.
Yeah, I thought there were some down the line.
I thought back to the 70s. When Harry Dalton came over, and he built Bambi's Bombers, and he never got Executive of the Year. And then Doug Melvin built the 2010s team, never got. But anyway, Matt Arnold got Executive of the Year, which is pretty cool. So.
And Dalton Varsho of Marshfield also won his first Gold Glove.
How about that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So
14 first-timers to win Gold Gloves this year.
Yeah, Dalton. And Dalton is amazing. Because he was in all through school. He was a catcher, and he was a catcher at UW Milwaukee.
Yep.
When he was played for the Eau Claire Express, and he came up as a catcher. Out in Arizona, they made him into an outfielder, and he has turned in. This is his second Gold Glove in a year in a row, too.
Right?
So,
He's
just an amazing athlete. Just shows you those bloodlines in that Varsho family. So.
Yes, indeed. Very good athletes all the way around in that family. All right. The Packers lost to the Lions.
Just a poor effort. I thought,
there was a lot of, they talked about Jordan Love's play, but I thought some of those passes he threw are right to the receivers.
A lot of drops.
And key
situations. A lot of drops. Just a bad day overall, And
not a good day
I don't want to just downgrade Detroit because they're a good ball club. But the Packer defense held them to 17 points. No, they had come off back-to-back weeks, I believe, 52 one week and I believe 40-some the week before. But the offense needs some work. And I know they got behind Larry, but Josh Jacobs was having a heck of a day running the ball in the first half. He was almost 100 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
And they had to get away from that. But we'll see.
Well, they got a bye week now.
Still working.
Maybe fortunate they got that now.
Yeah, I think it's a good time for a bye. Just regroup and everything. And they traded Preston Smith the other day to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 7th-round pick. But they did that more, and I don't think Smith hasn't really been greatly productive the last couple of years.
No.
But it opens up more time for guys like Lucas Van Ness and Mbari and guys like that to get more and more snaps.
So I think that's why they did it, just to open up some room for some of those younger guys to get in there.
Tonight, pretty good NFL game, Cincinnati at Baltimore tonight. So
okay.
And then Sunday night, Detroit at Houston has a chance to be a good game too. So,
you bet.
And Philly at Dallas on Sunday afternoon. So
halfway the season.
Yeah, and couple of good college games. Number 2 Georgia at number 16 Ole Miss. Michigan at number 8 Indiana.
Yeah, that was the one I was looking at.
Number 8 Indiana.
Yeah, how often you said that?
And
probably never.
Number 11 Alabama and number 14 LSU. So
all right, so some college football, some good games as well. But we've got playoff football for high school tomorrow night. Dick and I will be over in Stanley for the 8-player semifinal. Owen Withey taking on Highland from way down south.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the travel difference is interesting.
Yes.
But
7 o'clock for that one on 92.7 WPKG. That'll wrap it up for this week on Two Guys on Sports. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson.
We'll talk to you again next week.